fans, too many fans, too many fans, too many fans. It's two fans in a pod. Hands to my God, we keep it tight with a squad. All the energy right, we keep it real on the blog. Touching on topics, love to catch up and chat about lots. More blessings to the power above. From all the football to life of the pitch, we're gonna dive into it, breaking it down. All the wins, all the misses. Yeah, we're here for the fans. You gotta love them to win them. It's two fans in a pod. It's two. Check it. Two fans in a pod. It's two fans in a two fans in a pod.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Two Fans in a Pod with your host, Zemi Sagi, and my co-host for today is Mr. Wednesday. It's a super fan, providing the first of knowledge for all things football related. We've got a very special guest on today. He's a former Huddersfield Town FC academy analyst, sports analyst, ex-Leeds United football club coach, and a warm welcome to the pod for Scott Hazard, founder of In Play Sports. Welcome to the pod.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Pleasure to have you with us. It's something I really wanted to get on for quite a while, just to give a bit of context. When I first came across the work you do when I was studying at Nottingham Trent University back in the day, which seems like a long time ago now. And I was doing video work for NTU Sport and the team, and what they were doing over there was really, really good. And with the team, so the women's team, the ladies team, the men's team, and then when it comes to the varsity, I think it was really, really good. So, and I remember seeing from an early stage, because I was there just doing videography work for NTU Sport, getting the match reports, and seeing, you just look around, I saw a couple people filming, saw what you guys were doing, and yeah, I thought it was really insightful. Because it seems like I was just intrigued, really. What goes into what you guys do? I thought, is this a video, or is it a general match report, or then I remember speaking at the time and find out more about what you do. Looking at it, I was saying, you guys have some big video cameras for a game, and so yeah, I was really intrigued to find out more about what, at the time, just being a student journalist, and it's something intrigued me. And how many years later now? Well, I think it's been 6 years since I graduated, and going back, it's like, yeah, I had that in my mind that I wanted to get In Play Sports, and you definitely onto the podcast when I eventually started the podcast, and here we are now. So yeah, it's great to have you on finally, and yeah, could you just start from on the basic level, what is, for people, those that may not know, what is In Play Sports?
Yeah, of course. It's going back a few years now, isn't it? I think you just said that when we first met. Flown back. Was it like 2018, something like that? 2019?
Around 2018-ish, yeah.
Yeah, definitely before COVID. And yeah, I think I've been doing through NTU Sport, and we were providing them with some video analysis and performance analysis services. In terms of In Play Sports, the company I founded, we've been around kind of since around 2013, but kind of full time, if you like, and when launched as a proper company in 2016. So we've been around for quite a while, and we started off very differently to what we are now. So if you ask me now what we are, we're a sports technology company. So we have video analysis software that's called In Play Online. Sell that to sport teams at all different levels, elite level, professional level, all the way down to grassroots, and that can be football teams, rugby teams, hockey teams, and then we sell it to individual coaches, individual analysts, scouts, and then also the academic sector. So a lot of our software is used in universities and colleges on their sports courses. So it might be a sports analysis course that they do. It might be a sports science course, a sports coaching course. The next generation, if you like, of students, of analysts, of coaches, they use our software on their course in their university and college as well. So there's kind of a lot to it. When it first started, it was just a performance analysis company. So the best way I can describe that, especially if some of your views aren't kind of in touch really well, kind of they don't have a good understanding of the performance analysis and sports analysis world, is we started off where we'd be more of a consultancy company. So this was very, very early days of sports analysis. You're going back to 2013 now, when only a handful of teams had, it's only the professional teams really that had people filming their games and doing the analysis, doing the video analysis, looking at the stats, etc. I was working at Moving United at the time. My friend, my good friend Chris, and my co-founder, he was working at Brighton, and we were doing analysis there for different age groups at Leeds and the 23s and this for the first team. And we did that. We moved down Brighton doing the same thing. And yeah, we just started up in the market. So at the time, kind of, if we I've been rolling around kind of in full storm, if that's helpful. So that is we were playing teams in pre-season families. So, the under 23s and under 18s, playing local. I don't know you guys are from in West Yorkshire or the North area. We're playing teams, like Harrogate Town or Osset or, Bradford Park Avenue, that kind of around the pyramid. Just pre-season friendlies, really. And what we found is a lot of those teams would come to us after the game and come to us as staff at Leeds, and they would ask for a copy of our video. And then, and these were the coaches, the managers of the team, the players of the opposition team. Some of them would be cheeky and also come with analysis clips, and that happened on quite a few occasions. So from there, I just had the idea of maybe once I, didn't work for Leeds, and I could offer this service to multiple teams, and go from there really. And that's what we did in the end. There's long story short, we took that jump and we started in play sports, and primarily at the start back in 2013, 14, 15, that's what we did. We just offered the performance analysis services, so filming, video analysis, statistical analysis, match reports, playing clips, player analysis. We offered all of that on a kind of paper service basis, really.
Just curiosity, what's the general attitude of football teams when it comes to this technology? I don't know what it's like now, but I imagine that it's, back in the day, especially when you started, maybe there was more of a conservative attitude towards, the technology and how it could actually improve the sport. So maybe, is that changing now? Are people adapting? I suppose when it comes down to what I'm trying to ask is, what was the attitude like then? What's the attitude like now? What do you envision is going to be the case going forward in terms of how people adopt technology like this into their football and performance, and certainly, the impact it's having?
Yeah, it's a great point. And it's something like any technology, when it first comes out, there's a lot of people that are skeptical. And this kind of, before we have our online platform software, whatever you guys want to call it, when you're just doing the performance analysis consultancy services, a lot of teams, have the managers, so the old school, the old managers, a lot of the team players that have never used, not many people have an iPhone. iPhone is really big and massive thing. It was only later today they have started getting iPhones and iPads and tablets. So, a lot of the managers, I think they were technophobes, but they were, a lot of the older generation managers and senior players that were kind of in their late 20s, early 30s, they had none of this when they were younger, so they didn't know how to treat the technology. And a lot of them, I'll be honest, a lot of them, especially in the senior first team, when you first started working with them, a lot of the senior guys were quite, maybe afraid to go on radio, afraid of the performance feedback because it's a lot of the time it can be negative. It's not just looking at the strengths and the good things they did, it's looking at the bad stuff as well. And the technology, the video analysis, the stats reports, that's highlighted the weaknesses a lot more, put them in the spotlight, and a lot of players, couldn't handle that because it's not something they were used to. They might have got a bit of stick on in the papers back then, not on social media because it wasn't around, but in terms of sitting down with the coach at the club and the other players, their peers, then 10, 12 years ago, it wasn't something that was commonplace, so a lot of the senior players kind of did struggle with it. But now, technology everywhere, the younger generation, the kind of kids I was working with then, a lot of them are now 13 players with different clubs. A lot of them are going on to be senior players themselves, late 20s now, maybe mid 20s. So they're used to having that technology, they're used to having that feedback and looking at those strengths and weaknesses. And they're just used to performance analysis and video analysis. So nowadays it's much more commonplace. It's happening everywhere now, at every level of the game, not just in football, but sports and unis. So it's much more accepted now, and I guess understood and embraced, if you want, by a lot of the players now.
Well, it sounds to me like a lot of this has become part of the football education that everybody goes through now. It's not just about, going up and, reading tactics. It's not about applying the tactics and reviewing your capacity to apply the tactics. Would that be sort of the reality of it? Because what I'm trying to get at is, what the sort of functionalities you have in the system that allows, people to sort of like apply the knowledge that they're, sorry, let me rephrase that. If people are now using this tech, what sort of tools are available in technology to allow people to sort of like truly educate themselves on some of their abilities and where they can enhance themselves and improve themselves when it comes to the football experience? Because at the end of the day, there's a reason why people are coming to the product and people are buying into it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be the case. What are the capabilities that it has that makes people want to exploit it?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I guess the biggest one is time saving and efficiency, and the detail that you can get. So when I first started out, you have to kind of obviously video the game or the training session, and then you have to break that video down. Now, 10, 12 years ago, there was probably only one or two bits of software that you could use that was specifically for sports analytics, sports technology, that would break that video down. And at the time, you had people, the sim teams and some people still use this today, which is very strange, but back in the day, you might have heard of kind of Final Cut Pro or iMovie. They were just coming out, and obviously I know more from the media even the days where a lot of people would use software to break video down. In essence, what you're doing as an analyst, you're looking at the full 90-minute game, and then you're breaking it down into small and more bite-sized chunks to then show the players or the coaching staff or the manager and feed back to them and look at different areas. With that video, so stats as well, so you get the stats of different whatever you want to look at. So then you can manage them with our software, and you have the stats and the video at the same time, so you've got that context for the stats. So you're not just looking at did the right winger play 20 balls running into the final third? That doesn't really, the number 20 doesn't really tell the full picture. Whereas if you've got the video to go with those 20 passes, you can then see his positioning or their positioning, what players around, what you're doing, why you're behind it. So you get a lot more context with that. So that's there with the video. But yeah, nowadays, actually, people want that to be done fast, and the tools we provide, it allows you to break down the game video or the training video in super quick time. It gives you all the tools you need. And it's built for sports analysis. It's not like iMovie or Final Cut Pro or, even now some of the social media apps that some people use to just break the video down. and to get it in. It takes them, hours and hours to do it on a movie. People still do. If they don't realise there's specific software and technology out there to do it.
Mhm. I suppose I'm actually quite curious as well, actually, because it sounds to me like this. It's quite comprehensive, kind of like purpose built for what anybody wants to do. You don't have to sort of like go from scratch as you talk about with iMovies and all these other tools that people tend to use to edit videos and whatnot. You just go in, the system is there, it basically is configured to pick out on whatever content you have on video. And obviously, having external resources like data that you can integrate into the system to feed into the information on screen, you can then use that to expand and sort of go into much more detail as to what kind of performance elements the person might be incorporating or missing out from the work that they're doing. I suppose what I'm curious of is, how are you adopting emerging technologies into this space, actually? I mean, there's things like VR and what's it called, AI in particular. What does that look like for somebody like you? Is that something that's already built into the system? Is it something that you're looking to expand on? What potential opportunities do you think that system might offer you in terms of, making the products much more viable for not just, like the top end of the Premier League teams, but also the lower level teams?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the bits, I can't go too much into our tech secrets and what we've got and bring it out. So something maybe I hopefully not step up. We have some of that in the system at the moment. It's not a fully AI integrated system, just because AI is still very, very new, and people have been doing it for the last few years now. The technology, there are, I'm not going to name names, but there are lots of people, there's software out there. And what people have found, the feedback we get from coaches, from analysts, from players, is that it's not as accurate as it should be at the moment. So it still needs that time to mature and time to grow. Whereas, the tools we provide coaches, analysts, and our users, they get full control, so they can really analyze what they want to analyze in great detail, much more detail than you can, than the AI stuff that gets kind of churned out and given to you. The old saying is the human did it better than the machine or the robot. And we're still kind of at that stage. It's not really when a lot of stuff is very kind of contextual and very opinionated. So, one coach might look at one playing style and think he's really bad. And another coach might look at it and think he's really good because it suits his philosophy and his style of play. So, being a lot of opinions and, getting subjective, it's important. We feel anyway, that's why we kind of gone down the route of, giving everyone the tools to do their own analysis. We do have bits where we can, get help and we can facilitate that. But rather than just kind of, stick it onto AI and get a load of data that comes out and video clips that might be, the accuracy might be 70%, it's much better to do it, have someone that's an analyst or a coach or someone doing that manually.
Yeah, that's really good. So that's good to get in. Scott, I know you're saying you have like an academy where people can train and they can learn the new things, so emerging technologies, and they can learn how to integrate technology into the football. Is there like an academy where people can really learn this? And for the players and coaches, like you're saying there, how so to be accurate, 70%, you want this to implement this into your game, but you want it to be almost affect your game in such a positive way. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's not really an academy as such for coaches and players to kind of learn this technology, this area. What tends to happen now is when I first started, there were many courses and online courses. There was absolutely nothing really in terms of sports analysis. So you couldn't go to university and study sports analysis. It just wasn't a thing. So what I had to do, and this was even before I'm at university, so you're able to feel that way. I graduated from Leeds Met. It's called back in the day, Leeds Beckett, in 2012. So I was there from 2009 to 2012. But what I wanted to do is I had to do a sports coaching degree. and that had a couple of analysis modules within that.
Okay.
And you have to go from and educate myself and learn from there. Fast forward to now, the last kind of 5, 6 years, there's been an explosion in the number of courses that universities are doing. There's loads of undergrad, there's loads of postgrad master's courses, specifically in performance analysis or in data analysis, sports analysis. So the industry is just massive now, and there's a lot more opportunities for people to kind of learn the trade, if you like, through those courses. There's other external courses that you can do online through third-party companies, and then learning on the job, just getting learning, doing internship, whether it be a placement or paid work, and learning through that. So that's a kind of modern dynamic of kind of how you get into it from in today's world.
Oh, that's great. So would you say, going back to your early self, your early aspirations, did you always want to see yourself pursuing a career in sports as an analyst, or what was it? Did you see yourself pursuing another element of the sports industry, like maybe a player, or what was the early aspirations? Yeah.
Aspirations at secondary school was a PE teacher. So it started with PE teaching, and then it went into football coaching. So I wanted to be a football coach or a PE teacher. Everyone, you guys are the same. You kind of get to a certain age and you kind of know you're not going to make it pro. Or you get to kind of 16, 17, 18, and if you're quite self-aware, you kind of know you're not going to be playing for Chelsea or Man U or, in my case, Leeds United in the first team. So I wanted to go on a coaching route. And the little kind of side story, I didn't even know much about analysis then again because it wasn't such mainstream. And there were only a couple of kind of managers doing it at the time. So it was similar to when he was at Bolton. I spent there at Arsenal. And maybe a couple of others that were kind of really big into analysis, and no one else really did it in football. But in my last year, the last few weeks actually, of sixth form before I went to university in Leeds, one of my PE teachers at secondary school, his brother worked for QPR as an analyst. And just as, as teachers do, they want to kind of give career advice and options to students. He brought his brother in for a chat, and his brother kind of told us what he did, showed us what he did. And from then on, my kind of mind changed from I don't really want to do PE teaching. I'd much rather do football coaching / football analysis. But obviously, I couldn't do a course at uni because there was more about. So I went to Leeds, did sports coaching, and then when I was there, I was football coaching as well, so that's how I got my job at Leeds. I was football coaching at Leeds, but then I kind of went into analysis there and just tried to take as many opportunities as I could that were kind of performance analysis based really, and kind of went from there.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Just to follow up with that, that's quite the story. Who is there one person that inspired you? What kind of, or a person of what you saw? What you saw while playing. Was there one thing that inspired you that said to you, "This is going to be the career for me. I'll be a sports analyst." Is there one person or a certain thing?
I definitely see, the analyst, his name is Andy Bell. He was, I think he's at QPR now. So Andy was the one that came in, was the PE teacher's brother that came in and kind of had a chat with us about what he did at QPR and introduced a world of analysis. And then, another guy that I am quite a lot to, he made help me get into my kind of job at Leeds really. Is a guy, a great coach called Rick Passmore. So he is now, I believe he's at West Ham. At the women's, he's big in the women's game. He was a pioneer in the women's game back when, women's football was up and coming, back in 2013, 14, 15, before the Super League and all the money kind of got injected into the women's game. He was a big women's coach for Notts County and a few other teams at Leeds. So he was also doing the academy age groups at Leeds, whilst he was doing women's coaching as well. So he's a big one that I owe a lot to, really.
Well, that's really good if he's watching. You shout him. Yeah. Good. Were there any early challenges when you first started? Were there any things that, um, could you have the certain things like funding or recognition as a sports analyst, recognition for what you do, the profession? Um, what were the early challenges when you first started as a sports analyst?
Yeah, the biggest one, and it's sad to say, Ozzy, that it's still kind of an issue now,
Uh,
is just getting a paid job or a decent salary, which I agree. I'm not saying it's we're really hard going by in football. It's just a football analyst thing. I know there's lots of other industries. Yourself, Ozzy, probably journalism. I know that had a bit of stick back in the past for interns and not getting paid. It's the same in sports analysis, unfortunately. Like it was back in the day where PE teachers, I still believe it's the case now where there's so many people wanting to be a PE teacher but not having jobs. So they need to churn out all these physical education, sports coaching graduates that want to be PE teachers, but they're just not in PE teaching jobs to go around. Um, it's the same in analysis. There was, even when I started, there were not as many as there are now people wanting to do performance analyst or be a sports analyst, but there weren't not many jobs back then. There was only a handful of teams recruiting for sports analysts. But now, every team wants a sports analyst, and some teams in England sitting and have 10, 12 analysts, maybe even more just with the field team. There's still a massive saturation. The market is saturated. There's so many people wanting to be a sports analyst and just not enough jobs to go around. So what it does is it creates an effect where quite wrongly, but the employers, so the clubs or the organisations that want an analyst, they know that they've got a massive pool of people wanting to work for them, so they can just offer lower and lower wages until someone takes it. And
mm,
when they're so desperate to work for, you know, just to go back to me, I'm into Leeds and my family big Leeds fans. So you can
yeah.
imagine the journey when you go watching a club, you go to the stadium, you see the players and the staff, and then you're working there and going to the training ground every day and going to the stadium behind the scenes. It's a fantastic feeling. And if you're someone, if you're a big Manchester United fan, and you want to be a manager at a club, and then they're offering you £5,000 a year salary, you're probably not going to try and take it because you love the club so much. That's what they can do, and that's what's happening. And then, so it's not a case of everyone not taking less than this amount for a salary or whatever. The market is very saturated, so further on, unfortunately, it's still the case. The biggest value is actually getting a paid job. It's quite easy to come by because you can see there's a lot of internships out there, and there's a lot of obviously the courses. You can do a degree, you can do a master's degree, and get experience that way. But to get a paid job or a good paid job is still very, very difficult.
Mm. Yeah, for sure. And that brings me on to my next question. You said the best thing is getting out there, getting work experience within the industry. So while you're studying, just while you're studying at Leeds Met, you had first experience of go, working for clubs like Leeds United. Um, how was that first experience? Just having that, as a student and having those early experiences within this industry that you want to pursue in. How did that inform your career today? How important was that for as an early experience?
Yeah, they were massively important. I was lucky again. I think a lot of the time you need a little bit of luck. That in my first year at university, one of our first leaders, he works at Huddersfield Town in the academy as a coach. So he was a very good coach, and I think Gareth, he works at the FA now, I think still. He was at Huddersfield Town, and he got some of the students from the club, from my club sports coaching, and some of the Huddersfield Town to be, volunteer, have a performance analysis internship with the academy, and that was a massive, first experience of me working at a professional club, doing the analysis, and then obviously from there, I got introduced to Wick, who we've already given a nice talk to, he was at Leeds, and that's how I kind of fell into the Leeds United job in terms of coaching and the analysis there. So those two, experiences, if I did not have them, in-play probably wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have in-play players that we have today. We wouldn't have the company, the software, the staff, etc. They were kind of pivotal really in looking back in terms of kind of getting to where I am now and where in-play is now really.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it's and I think even more for yourself, your family being Leeds supporters as well. It's like something personal as well. Something that really kind of you must have, yeah, just at the time it must have been really almost like you pinch me, I'm dreaming kind of thing. One of those moments.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have to tread very carefully because the crossover from Huddersfield to Leeds are to big West Yorkshire rivals. It's like, Chelsea, Arsenal, Fulham kind of thing, Manchester City, Man United. So I have to be really careful about it. Obviously, the Huddersfield Town one was just the academy, and hopefully you guys will know that the academy is just a lot less territorial, let's say, a little bit more kind of skill in that compared to the first team stuff. So we had to do the academy there, and then obviously we left there and worked over at Leeds doing the analysis. That was a learning. I was doing the academy analysis, performance analysis work at Greenfield, whilst doing some coaching at Leeds as well. And there's a day's way there, but I had to just be careful with that because it can cause a little bit of a turbulence
But yeah, that's really good. What would you say, having worked in the industry, in this, have you worked in both different sports, rugby, football, across? But in football, what would you say has been your favorite moment? Or what's that one moment? Say, oh wow, this is like put down to one moment that within the industry, your favorite moment.
Yeah, it's probably quite hard on it, to be fair. There's probably three. There's three moments really. There's one. I'm going to the time order, which is not my favourite to least favourite, but I've probably got three things if I'm allowed three. The first one was probably kind of getting that analysis job and going to the training ground for the first time to up at Thorpe Arch. As a Leeds fan, you drive up and there's on security guard. It's similar kind of countryside. It's quite out of the city centre. It's not in the middle of Leeds. So you get the rain drive and you get to the training grounds, all the cards, the football's cards, and the players are there. It's kind of I was watching only 18, 19, 20 at the time, and just seeing the players. And I was lucky enough to manage at the time. Again, which made it kind of an even better experience. I had a couple of managers whilst I was there, but the main was Ian Roanoke, when he was
Yeah.
This is and it was when Leeds, like I can say, become a Leeds fan, is when Leeds running down streets and they had more money and kind of League One Championship and they were doing certain predictions and it was really nice to be fair. It's really much better place now Premier League seasons ago, which is great. But when I was there, it's kind of very much League One Championship level. And yeah, Neil was a manager, so kind of, just sitting there on the bench with him and the players was quite a pity, having been a season ticket holder and Leeds fan for quite a few years. That's probably the first one. The next one is more in-play now, so in-play, when we first we ran a lot of women's football teams, and in 2015, we won at Wembley, so we won our times, made it to Wembley to the FA Cup final. So, Notts County laid against Chelsea, and we and they using our services, our software. We just started our online software, our platform. The technology was just kind of going out and we integrated with Notts County and ran a good friend with Passmore. And yeah, when they also I think about 40,000 fans there, and to behind the scenes of Wembley, we get to go and show them, we get to see all the behind-the-scenes stuff. It's the artist team. And unfortunately, that's how we lost our player. They got beaten, which was down. But it's still just to kind of, not saying we've been to Wembley as a fan, but worked at Wembley and been behind the scenes. with the team is great. And then a few years later, we so we went to women. They went up to the final as well. So the first ever women's FA Cup final one was the West County versus Chelsea in 2015. And in 2018, it was Arsenal against Chelsea, and Arsenal were client again. So we got Wembley again, which was absolutely fantastic. It was a much bigger crowd by this time. I can't remember the numbers, but obviously the game going over the years and got more funding, more investment. There was a massive crowd at Wembley again. So I definitely say the Wembley experience is very much just great. And I think the final one, just from a business perspective, the in-play stuff, just a bit thing into the we didn't when we started because obviously when we first met Ozzy, that was the very days of in-play. We just started then, but when we did start kind of 2013, 2014 and properly started in 2016, we're not seeing Silicon Valley company, that started with bring more investment, venture capitalists, any of that kind of stuff. We literally started the company with 300-400 quid. Group one there. So to get from that to kind of, where we are now, in terms of the stuff we've got, the clients we've got, the teams, the big teams we've worked with and we still work with, and doing things like working with the podcast games, countries, working with teams that are going to the Olympics, etc., players that are in the athletes that are in the Olympics. It's that's another bit of patient really just to stay where we came from, what we started with, to kind of where we're at now.
Yeah, fabulous. Yeah, that's really interesting. It's good to, I think, because the women's game has really grown. It's good to show that that diversity really, that you're covering all parts of the football. I think it's really really good. But what's a day in the life like because you've done both now. You've been a sports analyst, you worked with the teams, and now you've got your own business. How's it differed? How's it changed from being, do you have more contact with the players, the coaches? How's it changed? And what's an average day like in the life of a football analyst?
I get this question a lot, so I do a lot of talks with students and a lot of guest lectures and different kind of even podcasts with students, and a lot of the students always ask me that, what is your day in the life of, what do you do, basically. It's always a difficult one to answer because it's so varied. So if I was an analyst now, it's probably what I'd be able to tell you straight away. I'd be able to, say, I do this, this, and this. On this day I do this, and then one day I do that. But my role is, running the business. I do a lot of sales. So I do the sales stuff and the marketing, social media side, and the branding. And then little bits of kind of the tech side with our software team and our development team in terms of, making sure the technology's got the right features that the coaches and athletes and with want and need. But my days are completely varied. Some days I could be, on podcasts like this. Some days I could be talking to our clients, coaches, players, CEOs, directors of brands that are paying the software, organizations that are paying our software, speaking with them. Or I could be doing a talk at a university with, 50 or 100 students that are just starting their first master's degrees. I could be managing something at, in HQ. It could be a staffing issue. It could be something that, we're bringing new stuff in. Or, we're doing something at HQ. So, every day is different, but that's great for me because it means I'm not just, sat doing 9 till 5 doing the same thing or doing, if I was an analyst, I'd be, doing the training and then coming having lunch, having a break or whatever, then more afternoon sessions and it was just quite repetitive and doing the same thing every week out. Whereas now it's much more varied, which is can be a challenging time where we're keeping it real. It can be tough, it can be stressful, but I much prefer it this way, where every week is different, every kind of month is different, to compared to just the standard every day is the same thing on a 9 till 5.
Yeah, Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So question I have is in terms of the so when I think when you first started when we first met, it was quite local, and you kind of based what was it Yorkshire kind of Yorkshire based that kind of around. How's it growing? Like this, it's growing from what you've said, what you've explained. It seems like it's growing kind of exponentially over the last 10 or so years. So that's so what's the expansion? I mean, you must travel a lot. I mean, nationwide, you must be going to different. It's not just it's gone from where it was, Yorkshire, Midlands based to now nationwide. And so how's that process been? How's that process been? What's the process been like from this small to the largest on a large scale now?
Yeah, so we the in terms of the software, that is the majority of our company now. So we have the other kind of services that we offer in Way 6, which is where people can send us their video on our in-play platform if they have a subscription, and our team of analysts will do the clipping and the analysis and the stats for them and then deliver it back. So it's for, if you're a coach or you're an analyst and you're quite time poor and you don't have the time, you might be a part-time coach and you have another job. And if you haven't got the time to do your own analysis, you can send it to a team of experts and they'll do it for you. We have spaces like that, and then we still have services where people will subscribe to the platform if they're just an individual coach, an individual scout, an individual analyst, and they can use that as well. And then we have the academic packages and the team packages. So we're quite, not just, I wouldn't say we're even nationals. We do our clients in, France, America, Canada, Australia. So we're quite international. Obviously, the majority of our clients are in the UK, but we do have, the US, so America, Australia, and a few other different countries that have used teams and athletes are using our software. So yeah, it's grown. Obviously, the company grown. Still, it's true for Yorkshire, so our head office in Exchange in Doncaster in South Yorkshire. They're actually going to be in technology. We don't need to be out. We don't need to have someone with the Australian guys. We don't need to have someone with the American guys. We can do it all kind of internationally, as you would expect a technology company to work.
Yeah, that's really good. And as you said, with technology, people can tune in. Even with the time zones, people can be 8 hours behind in California, 5 in New York. They can the clients can still tune in and be like live with you guys here in the UK. So I think that's just amazing. That the expansion and here for it, definitely. It's love to see this. And so
I got a question in relation to that. Actually, I was just going to ask. You talked a lot about some of the. You've talked about the fact that there's a lot of accessibility for the technology itself in terms of like the people, locales. You've also talked about some key stakeholders who can work with the technology. People like students. People are probably like trying to look at their own game to understand what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
There's also the coaches as well that also participate in the process. And given the example that you have there, what other sort of stakeholders do you tend to involve in you reviewing the technology? Because I can imagine things like, I don't know, scouts reviewing people's performances, for example, in order to determine whether they have viable options. I guess what I want to find out is, who can use this technology? Who can explore its facilities?
Yeah, that's a great question. The standard, kind of the group, if you like, is what you just mentioned. What we've talked a lot about is the coaches, the manager, the coaches, and then you have the analysts sitting below them, and then the players. So that's like this football. I know we're on football-based podcast, but that's in our stage. So again, we rugby, hockey, and loads of uni teams, lacrosse, table tennis, basketball, netball. So any sport, coaches, managers, players, analysts. So we just launched the start of the year, back in last year even, our individual subscription to the environment software. So instead of teams using the technology, individuals can now use it as well for a much more affordable cost. So if you are an individual scout or if you're an individual coach, that you might have your own coaching company. That's kind of a big thing now where I might, have 10 or 20 individual players that come to me for private football coaching. And maybe a boxing coach or a hockey coach that has 10, 20 hockey players or boxers that come to me for private coaching, and I need that software, but I don't need a team package, and I can't afford a team or a club style package because I'm just by myself and one person operating. But they can now buy the technology for themselves and use it with a company or athletes. Scouts use it, so again, if they're looking at opposition players or players that they need to recruit in, they can use the technology, the software themselves. So scouts in a big way, coaches, and then just analysts and students. So we've got the next generation, as I mentioned at the start of the next generation of coaches, analysts, data scientists, whether they're at university or they're doing an internship, they might not have access to the software. We have students are very stricken. They don't have a lot of cash when you're students, so you can't go out and buy the latest software and technology for teams that cost them a lot of money in their eyes. So to have something that's more available, that they can purchase just for themselves, like an individual subscription, that's not a kind of a category, if you like, of user of people. And then the academic stuff that we mentioned, the courses, the sports science courses, the sports coaching courses. So they're on them, they'll utilize the software and they'll show the students the software that the students will be using when or if they get a job in the industry. So I'd say for all of the people that can benefit and people that just use it, it's growing quite a bit from just being the standard coach, player, analyst. It's grown quite wider now, which is good, and it shows the industry's growing.
Mm. I've got a question of adaptability though, because obviously you've talked about, something that we touched on then, its capacity to be applied across different people's contextual, circumstances. And obviously the affordability makes it a little bit more accessible for people who might not necessarily be big time coaches of the sort.
Mm.
But in the spirit of big time coaches of the sort, for example, I've often envisioned a scenario, and this was something that Ozzy and I actually touched on yesterday when we were talking about some of the questions that we're going to bring up, is this idea of philosophy. Now, we did talk previously on how maybe it's not something that is necessarily talked about when it comes to the technology. You just have like a basic product that you present to the people and they adapt it according to what they need. But is there a potential avenue for sort of like adapting to the different philosophies that people tend to incorporate? For example, we've talked about Chelsea being the example, and Chelsea is obviously a team that is trying to go down this, play style that Maresca has brought into the football world now. And would it be expected at some point, or is it something that you currently offer at the moment, where you can adapt the tool set to the philosophy that the manager is trying to incorporate, so that, from the grassroots football all the way to the professional levels, when it comes to recruiting team members, there's a consistent sort of like arrangement in which the user can sort of like demonstrate what they want their players to perform, what skill set they want them to have, so that they can prioritize those capabilities in order to sort of like manifest the kind of performance of the team, and obviously review that performance to ensure that people are meeting certain key performance indexes, so to speak. Is that something is that something that it offers at the moment, that adaptation?
So that kind of what you described there that would be the job of the analyst. So in terms of the technology we provide, the software we provide, we would call it kind of neutral software. So our software, if you're an elite level netball coach or an elite level, you went to Chelsea as a first team coach, you can go on, and the tools and the software and the technology is perfect for you no matter what level you are. In terms of the things we mentioned there, kind of the KPIs and, making more of the if you like, putting putting kind of things in place from the nines, Chelsea talent team, to the academy to the first team. That is the job of the analyst. So we'll take our software and then we'll set things up on the software, things, and this is involving your guy 10, things like tagging panels and the way that the data is coded and the stats matrix and different playlists and layout and things like that. And then we'll tailor it to their philosophy, to their players, their playing style, and then they will go from there. So we kind of, I think we can look at this. We give people the tools that they need and a bit of a blank canvas, and then they can go and then create their own, how their own layout, use their own philosophy. We don't kind of force it on them. We don't want to kind of get to a stage where we build something in our product or in our platform for a certain philosophy or a certain way of playing in football, and then there will be thousands of users logging. They're like, shit, what's this football thing doing here? It should be rugby. And because you run so many different sports, we don't want to get down that road of doing things in play, forcing people into using something or looking at something that might not benefit them or might not be kind of necessary for their philosophy, their effective philosophy. So we give them all of the detailed, level tools that they need. And then it's up to them to go around and they can do what they wish for them and kind of build from them. And that's where you get, like I said, the analyst. The analyst job will be running more in-house his team, all the there to put that together and make sure that's all, working and flowing right for them and their players and their kind of setup.
Okay. To be honest, it'll take away from the adaptability that you clearly have anyway, so that's fine. Ozzy, do you have any other questions, actually? Go on.
Yeah, it's I think there's a few more before we get to. I'm kind of focused on the future now, so
Okay.
So I have a few more. I have a few more questions to mind. We've kind of covered the average day, training, and okay, what about on a day? So how does it differ on a match day? So until a day where there are no games, so the work would differ, like the work on a match day compared to, or is it more the work is before the actual game day, the work you do with the coaches and players and the teams, alongside the teams? Is it more busy on game day? What I'm trying to say really is it busy on game day or the bit before the game day, like the training sessions, the warm up, the build up to the games?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, going back to, I'll kind of give you two answers here, or one answer split into two parts. So when I first started 10, 12 years ago, there was only kind of one job as a performance analyst or a sports analyst. So we would do absolutely everything. So, for example, me at Leeds, I would be in charge of videoing, filming the training. I would film the matches, home and away. And then you would have to analyze those videos. So when you talk to A, breaking them down, so you break the videos down, you would give them to players, you would maybe, again, this depends on coaching philosophy of what the coaches and manager in the club wants, but just in terms of my experience at Leeds, I would give the videos to players, I would do stats reports and back to players. You then might see with some players, you might do a mini presentation to players. But this is a post-one for a post-match. So post-training or post-match, you give average feedback to the players. It would be one touch like areas, strengths, weaknesses, areas for improvement. And you would go from there, doing from stats, reports, video clips given to them after the games on DVDs or memory sticks. Now it's on iPads and online technology, in cloud platforms. But you'd be actually everything, and you would just become a performance analyst. Today, the discipline of performance analyst on the radio has been split into micro areas. So let's just say, any team now, Leeds, Chelsea, let's say Chelsea, for example. They will have, I don't know how many Chelsea's got, let's just make it easy. Say they've got 8 analysts at their club. They won't really be doing the same thing, so they will have a post-match analyst or a typical post-match analyst. So when they're doing the video, they've got data from, let's say the game today, the Newcastle today they played. They'll have the game, so they'll be doing it now, they'll be doing their post-match analysis, looking at what went wrong and right, any areas for improvement. They'll be doing now, but then they also have opposition analysts. So their main body of work will have been before the game. So they would have looked at Newcastle's game video from the last 3 or 4 or 5 games, and they would have looked for any area of weakness, what the Newcastle do well, can we explain them in any areas, have we got any weak players, any weak positions, have we got any injuries, all of that's done before the game. And then you would have training analysts that will just analyse the training data. You'll have set piece analysts, so they'll analyse the set pieces of future opponents to try and see if you can gain an advantage, and they also analyse their own set pieces. So when they take a set piece, can we do anything better? Can we make any improvements? Have we got any areas of strengths? I think we can explain and make the team. So there's lots of different disciplines now. Within that performance analysis, if that makes sense. The more today is much more specific and much more detailed than everyone else 10 years ago, because we just running around with a phasing on 10 years ago, trying to do absolutely everything. More often than not by themselves or more than 2 of you. Now the big teams have got 8, 10, 12, 15 analysts all doing different things. It's just like a well-oiled machine, it's like clockwork, and everyone knows what they're doing, and everyone has a job to do, and it just works, and it just goes. So it's, probably like giving a bit of insight into the different time we got to school. Yeah. The big one now is data analysts. So a lot of the big clubs, so a few years ago, like Sunderland, Man City, they're bringing in, they're paying big money for really, really clever mathematicians and people that are really good with data and big data. And they might not necessarily be a sports player, football player, so they might not have a great knowledge of the game. Um, they are big on data, so they might have gone to the big universities, Oxford, Cambridge. They might be from MIT over in America or Stanford, and they've got, they're highly qualified in data analysis and analysing numbers. And a lot of teams are bringing them in now, and just to get that edge and try and find any extra percent or a small increase in performance just by analysing the data, not even the video, just in the raw data. It's to meditate, obviously, 100% because there's a lot of factors in there. Learning football, injuries, fixture schedules, a bit of luck, VAR might have. Let's not go into that. I'm sure that's for a podcast, another episode. But VAR, referee decisions, just different things happen with a club, funding, ownership. There's a lot of different factors that play into a club or team winning or being successful or winning the trophy or winning the title. So yeah, I think it's hard to say. You're probably saying that just by having data analytics or just by having a good performance team behind you that you will definitely win. But it definitely helps. No doubt about that. It's definitely you're on the right track to giving more more players that extra percent or extra 0.5% in performance and that extra little bit of advantage.
I suppose whenever you're, in any competitive endeavor, every little helps, as a quote from Tesco says. So you want to use everything to your advantage. I suppose I guess this is my personal final question anyway, because we're coming up to an hour actually, and I don't want to keep you longer than necessary. Obviously, Ozzy, when he comes back, will decide if he wants to ask any further question. But I suppose for me, I'd like to know where do you think the future is? What do you think? How do you think things are going to evolve? Are there any particular challenges you foresee happening? Are there future opportunities that you could potentially see for yourself in this particular field? And certainly the tool that you're putting out there for people to use. What do you envision the future looks like for that?
I think short term or short to medium term, there's going to be more and more of this data. So, in other industries, in the economy, and loads of different kind of other areas, big data is there and people are analysing it and kind of trying to make sense of it. I think, especially, it always starts at the top where the money is. So your teams like Man City, the big Premier League teams will get these data analysts in and they'll start function and looking at all the trends and the patterns and going, making their training schedule and their match style of play, their philosophy, purely on the data results. I think that will trickle down and, you'll get, once it becomes more affordable, more acceptable and more now, a lot of the leagues will start adopting that. So there will be, people working in leagues that are, they're not just performance analysts anymore, they're data analysts or data scientists, they call themselves. The kind of, my question is, and kind of thing that I know is worried about with that is, there needs to be some sort of between being a data scientist or analyst and knowing the game. And not just, surface level knowing the rules, because everyone can know the rules of football. But I think, and I say this again, a lot of talks that I do with students that want to work in the industry. I think if you have a solid coaching background, so if you know the game, very, very well from a coaching perspective, and maybe playing, and they're playing, not just a chair fan that watches it every week, behind the scenes, the athletes, the sport, and doing really good with numbers and data, that could be a really good combination, and that is going to be a really big area, I think, in future. So, a few years ago, it might have been the coaching center manager might have employed a data scientist, and they've got to them asking for things. And in their mind, you might be thinking, does this guy on 16 unknown football out there? Like, should I they're giving me all this data and all their findings? Do they really know the sport out there? My game plan, do they understand and they play the sport before? Some people looked at us back 10, 12 years ago when analysis first came out, a lot of the managing coaches thought we were IT guys. So they could say, any IT problem, they're going to problem with their iPads when they first get an iPad, 2014, 15, the IT guys will sort it out. You didn't get that respect sometimes of being, a performance analyst. It's probably the same now for data analysts, data scientists. They're really, really good at presenting data and finding trends and patterns in data and areas that they can use for performance. They might not be seen as, a reliable source because people are questioning, have they ever played at that level? Have they, do they know the game? Have they got any coaching badges? Do they, have they coached before? So I think if those two areas combine and you get people coming through data scientists, data analysts, but also have that knowledge and that background, I think that would be a really powerful kind of person really, or kind of area to explore. It's AI for me, but again, AI is super, super hard to kind of grasp in terms of, how quickly we can take effects. I think in the short to medium term, what I would say is I think it'll make analysts and coaches' jobs a lot easier because it'll save them a lot of time. But then, again, another question I asked is, will it replace the job of an analyst or a coach? But in terms of an analyst, you still need someone, a human, to be able to communicate with a player and a manager and a coach on a human level of communication. A robot or an AI or a computer can't do that. They don't have emotions yet. So they can't have that, they can't have that connection and that personal connection with the player, with the coach. So I think short to medium term, there should still be a need for analysts. I just think any AI that comes with any technological advances or technology that gets brought in will just help them save time and help them become more efficient. And it has done over the last 5-10 years. I think it will continue to make them even more efficient. But I still think that human, if you like, will what we needed to deliver to feedback and to have that, that human relationship.
So in that sense, I guess what would you say is your guiding philosophy in all this? Because to me, it sounds like a very, very complex, muddy environment that you just can't say precisely what is. Because I kind of got the impression there was something there that was like pretty much settled, but it sounds to me like things are a little bit murkier than actually it looks like on the outside. What do you think are the guiding principles that are sort of like directing your movements in this space, and how do you think, you know, I guess that's what it is. What are your guiding philosophies to help stay afloat in this very chaotic seaside?
Yeah, I mean, for the next kind of, the next few years, we are, as we always have been over the last few years, we're heavily focused on providing our users with the best possible performance analysis tools and technology that they can have. Again, sport specific, so it's not iMovie, it's not Final Cut Pro, it's made for sports analysis and performance analysis and video analysis. We are laser focused on providing them the best possible tools, like the best possible price, making it accessible to as many people as possible. So, not fighting people out. So, a lot of companies that only stay still only solely want to work with the elite teams. So, Man City can afford the big software prices. Grassroots teams, semi-pro teams, individual coaches can't. So we focus on that. And then things like accessibility in terms of devices. So in-play online works on any device. It's cloud-based, so you can use it on your iPhone, your Android, depending on what side you sit. I'm an Apple guy, I like my iPhone, but I think it's Android. Some people are Windows, some people are Apple, iOS. So whatever you choose, online product technology will work on the device, where some people, some technology will only work on Apple or it will only work on Android. So yeah, I think the next few years we are just massively focused on providing the best tools we can at the most affordable price, and making it as accessible as possible to the tens of thousands of people that scouts, analyst, coaches that use video analysis software.
So functionality, accessibility, and was it the functionality, accessibility, and affordability? So that's three key. Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Well, Ozzy, do you have any other questions? Actually,
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I think with the expansion, really, there's no limit to where it can go. You already have clients worldwide, so I think so. Do you plan to have offices elsewhere around the world, or what? I mean, what's the like 10-year goal, 10-year plans and things?
Yeah, I mean,
What do you think in 10 years? Yeah, in the next 10 years or so.
Yeah, we just touched on it over there. The next few years, you probably come to the end there, where we were just talking about kind of where we see the product going in the next few years. Obviously, we want to make it affordable, accessible, and give the functionality to users, and we're kind of focused on that. We've still got a lot of kind of ways to do in the UK, so we're still growing quickly, and we want to grow bigger here in the UK, and obviously looking further afield, we're looking at some big opportunities in the US. So there's potential over there. Again, trying not to too much detail on different things, but that's the kind of way things are heading.
Oh, that's really good. That's amazing. So my final couple of questions really is any advice? What advice would you give? Those budding sports analysts, the ones that they've been inspired. They've been inspired to something inspired them to pursue their industry. What would you say to them on their journey?
Yeah, the most kind of helpful, beneficial thing I can say to them, and again, because I get to talk to a lot of students, especially over the last few years, so it's something that for a lot of them, if you are interested in pursuing a career in analysis, a couple of really, really good things you can do now. One is use social media. And by that, I don't mean kind of use your profile, your Instagram profile where you're going out on the weekend, or if you've got an old Twitter account where you've posted some silly things when you're, 15 years old or 18 years old. Create a Twitter account, create a LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is massive in this industry. Create a LinkedIn profile, create a Twitter account, and start producing analysis work. So if you have time, we tend to say to people, portfolio of work. So because there are so many people wanting to be a performance analyst now, and the market is saturated, it's no longer enough for you to have an undergraduate and master's degree in performance analysis and maybe a year experience. You're not going to get a job in analysis now, especially at a big football club. So you're going to have to do something else to make yourself stand out. So maybe kind of, what I would say to people is make sure you've got LinkedIn, Twitter, and just have them accounts and friendly accounts for yourself. So don't make them personal accounts, make it, if I was on Twitter now, it'd be Scott has an analyst, there's some handle would be something like that. And then just make about analysis and about what I'm interested in, so it's a lot of Leeds United stuff. And what you can do is take the portfolio of work. So best free video from YouTube, and if you're a big Chelsea fan, the Chelsea Newcastle game probably on YouTube now, maybe tomorrow. Then get the YouTube and get it from there for free, and then start analysing it yourself, creating your own portfolio of work. Then when you come to apply for a job, you can link that portfolio on your CV to your page or something like that. And then when we employ analysts all the time, when we look at a CV now, if it's just, I've worked here for a year, I've got a master's, I've got an undergrad degree in performance analysis, that's maybe not enough. If they say, I've got an here, but here's my portfolio of work that I've done, we can dive into the portfolio and make sure they can actually analyse, and they can actually do the work that we're being trained them to do. So it's the same thing with going to a Chelsea, 2 million employing them at Chelsea, they look at that CV and look at the portfolio like, this guy and can actually produce good, meaningful data and analysis work. So let's give them a chance, and let's bring them in for an interview. They just saying CV, I've done a master's on undergrad, I'm a good performance. It's a different. So I think it's something that made me push quite a lot.
There's actually somebody who, just want to say, there's somebody who I saw on YouTube who does something similar. He's got like a YouTube channel for Chelsea, actually, and he does this analysis work where he goes through all the different matches and basically breaks down what's happening on there as well. So it's similar to describe it. So it's a good way to build a portfolio that's out there for the public to see, actually. So it's a very good idea, actually. I would recommend it for anybody who's looking to do that kind of work. Sorry,
absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, when you do the analysis, you go to the games, what specific camera or kit do you use? What are the things you specifically use to analyze the games, the analyst?
Yeah, so it's really different now because I've been out of the game in comics for so many years. I'm in the business now. I'm not analysing my trade anymore. But technology is growing so much now. So before, when you used to have a tripod, what you were using when you were not 18, tripod, camera, hand cam, carrying Sony, they've seen how they play now. But I remember advanced camera systems now that come to a different price point. So a lot of the professional clubs will have installed camera systems in the training ground, and then they'll have them in the stadium as well. They might be in airfields in the stadium, they might go on halfway, but we'll still have analysts that will still use the camera when they can, they film some of their own stuff as well. So as long as it produces decent quality video footage, you can look at and see in quality and you can analyse it. The camera doesn't really matter. Because there's so many options now at different price points and different affordability, kind of criteria. So as long as you've got a camera that does the job, then you should be fine.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really good. Yeah. You've given us so many insights, I mean, into the sports announcement industry. I mean, it's yeah, it's it's been very informative. Learned quite a lot. Um, yeah. Thanks so much for your time. Very grateful for the time, and I can't yeah, I can't wait to see you in play sports grow even more throughout the rest of the year and onwards. I feel like it's something that needs to be. As you say now, it's more important now. It's more it's everywhere now. You're seeing it everywhere in sport, especially in sports like football. Um, and it's things from even on the grassroots level, like you're saying. I think the growth is there's even more growth. I think it's not start. I think there's no limit. I think it hasn't stopped. So even though it's growing so much, the industry there's still more to be done, and um, I think it just there's no limit to the growth with the industry because there's technology as well now. It's become so advanced, so there's going to be more advancements within that industry as well. So yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's just technology is going to continue to change. The bigger clubs around get it first, and top of the tree, top of the pyramid, Premier League, and then it'll filter down to the lower leagues and then the grassroots level eventually.
yeah. I was just thinking about AI. You touch on AI. How they're saying you might get robots in football in sports in a few years time, and it's kind of for me. When I hear when I read articles like that, I'm just like, yeah, but even with VAR and they're using technology all the time now at the top level. Um, would you how how much would you integrate AI into the work you do, or is it kind of you still want that human? You still want the human impact, the human um, input. How much would you do you use AI, and how much do you see yourself using that within in-play sports and what you guys do?
I think me and Mr. Wednesday just touched upon it earlier. It's one of those areas where, in the moment, the way kind of I see it is if it's not going to be accurate, so there's a lot of, there's not a lot, but there's a couple of AI companies out there at the moment that the stuff they're doing isn't massively accurate. So it might film and flip a rugby game, for example, or a football game, and when you see it, it gives you the data, it might say that players 3-2, but still
Mm,
3-1, 3-0. And it's
yeah,
like that, if it's not 100% or very close to 100% accurate, then people over time don't want to trust it and they don't want to kind of threat on their users. So the kind of moment, what I can say is we are just focused on giving our users the tools to do what they need to do and go into detail. So AI can only, in the moment, can only do basic level things. So it's only looking at the mind of the goal or a corner or a free kick. But when we talked about before, where it might be a player making a certain run or a
mm,
player moving off the ball, the AI might not pick them up if it's not categorized. So
mm,
we don't needs to categorize that as a negative thing or a negative play, let's say in the game, whereas the manager might have told the player to do that. So the manager might be happy when it's happened, but it's a positive in this sense, but the AI might look at it as a negative. So
yeah,
that's kind of where we see at the moment. Um, we want to give the tools to the power to our users way and let them analyze in depth, in detail, what they know,
yeah.
rather than it being kind of forced on them.
Okay, wow, yeah, that's super interesting, super very insightful. I was intrigued then, and even more so now. I feel like this just yeah, it's good, especially if you're in this industry, you're a sports enthusiast, something that you should enlighten yourself on, do your research on sports analysis, and really, really put there's so many sides to it, as you've just explained, and yeah, So
Well,
yeah,
Scott, tell us where can people find you then?
That's right, Mr. Wednesday.
Where can people find you then? To learn more about what you do.
So the best place is probably our website, in-play sports, in-playsport.com. We're on social, so if you go on Twitter, it's in-play sports _. We're on Instagram with in-play sports. We're on LinkedIn, in-play sports. You can find me on LinkedIn as well, Scott Hazard. Drop me a connection, drop me a follow on there. But yeah, on the socials, give us a follow, connect, whatever you want to do, have a look at the stuff we put out. I put into on LinkedIn, so spend only 2 minutes on LinkedIn, if I'm honest. Scrolling LinkedIn pages and different, looking at different profiles and
yeah.
commenting and chatting with people. So, yeah, if you're on LinkedIn, drop me a follow-up connection request. I'm really happy to kind of answer questions and help. Especially people that are new to the industry, that want to be in the business, or new coaches that want to be involved. Targeting the C title and club, well, getting that kind of don't want to be I can't really leave nothing that's now for a time. But yeah, if you want to know anything about analysis, the industry, yeah, do drop me a message.
I think what we'll do is we'll probably add it to the description, your link to the account website. Actually, that'd be a good thing that we can add as well. Actually, do you want?
Link up the description. Yeah.
Ozzy, I'll leave it to you then. What's up?
Yeah. Thanks so much for your time. It's been so insightful. I'm super inspired. Something that's essential within football, within many sports, and something that is highly needed. And yeah, more to come for the industry. Be sure to thank so much as always. Thank you so much for your time, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you as always to our viewers and listeners for joining us on Two Fans in the Pod. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for the latest engaging sports content, football content. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one.
Cheers, guys.
Too many fans, too many fans, too many fans. It's 2 fans in a pod. Hands to my God, we keep it tight with a squad. All the energy right, we keep it real on the blog. Touching on topics, love to cock up and chat about lots. More blessings to the power above. From all the football to life of the pitch, we're gonna dive into it, breaking it down. All the wins, all the misses. Yeah, we're here for the fans. You gotta love them to win them. It's two fans in a pod. It's two. Check it. 2 fans in a pod. It's two fans in a 2 fans in a 2 fans in a pod.